Now, this right here is some news that I really enjoy hearing right here. This is big. This is going to save many Americans' lives right here. I ain't going to say it's going to stop everything, but Trump's team has been busy. They've been catching these dubs, which is W's. Attorney General Pam Bondi, reveals the largest drug seizure in U.S. history, dismantling the cartel-run drug and weapons trafficking network in Mexico. I'm going to tell you what this means and what it equates to in just a second. But first, let's go ahead and let her give y'all the rundown.
This multi-agency operation led by DEA with our local, state, tribal, and federal partners targeted one of the largest and most dangerous drug trafficking and foreign terrorist organizations in our country. The DEA seized 11.5 kilos of fentanyl, including an astounding approximately 3 million fentanyl pills, the largest seizure in our nation's history. These are the pills in the bags right there. The main bottom right, the head of this organization, Sinaloa organization, here in the country illegally, 6 of these guys and women here in the country illegally. His name is Alberto Salazar Amaya. He is the leader, and he was living in Salem, Oregon. With him, they got millions of dollars, cash, cars, but the drugs were in Albuquerque, Phoenix, and Utah. That's how insulated these drug dealer cartel leaders make themselves.
Now, this is a win, man. I enjoy hearing news like this. We're able to protect Americans, save lives from all of these drugs and things of that nature getting sent across this border, which is harming so many Americans on a regular basis. Many of these policies that the Biden administration allowed for this type of situation to, how do I say, increase. I'm not going to say that they were the start of it, and I'm not saying that there will never be a problem with this, but y'all know. However, the DEA, what does this mean for the American people? The DEA sees over 3 million fentanyl pills. That's enough to cause 3 million lethal deaths. The DEA also sees 11.5 kilos of fentanyl. That equates to around 850K lethal doses. Many suspects within the U.S. who are leaders of the cartel were arrested. So we can be very much so appreciative of that. But, of course, that doesn't come without criticism to Attorney General Pam Bondi. Right now, which before that, my dog Buddha Boo posted, did they find the FBI agents that were helping bringing the fentanyl in? Great question. It's a really great question right there. But then it's usually followed by stuff like, and 0 Epstein files released and 0 related arrests. This would be a cherry on top if we had the Epstein files. I feel like these are just appetizers. Good, but not fulfilling. Filling. Yeah. And Hunter Webb, somebody said, wow. So, yeah, you can see everybody's fixated on the Epstein list, but we're going to take the win right there. Now, Byron Donalds, this guy right here, shut it down. I'm going to give y'all just a brief little view of it. We're going to dive into another angle with Tom Homan, and then we're going to get into the full interview with this, where he just absolutely took down this MSNBS narrative.
When it comes to due process, that is a privilege reserved for American citizens. When people are in our country illegally, there is a semblance of due process, but not nearly at the level of a United States citizen, of an American. There are 2 different standards. You come to America, you are a guest in the United States. That privilege can be revoked. And a lot of these illegal aliens were not guests. They showed up at the southern border. Joe Biden abused our laws, ignored our laws, and let them in. And yet, so what are the American people supposed to say about that? When it comes to due process.
I know that's right. Amen to that. What are we supposed to say about that? Y'all keep talking about due process this, due process that. And with this perspective, he helps me realize just how insulting it is. It's like, hey, no, this is our country, bro. I'm an American. What do you mean due process that? First of all, y'all already gave them everything. That time here was more American than a lot of people's situations. They came here, man. They gave them free hotels, free housing, food stamps, government assistance, basically. Well, obviously, duh. They gave them money. Come on, man. Health care. When you enter into our country illegally, you aren't even our guests. That right there is a bold statement right there. So, Tom Homan, as I said, I want y'all to hear, man. Whew, these Democrats said it. We just, making good on what y'all said.
You can support sanctuary cities all you want. But if you cross that line of impediment, which is a felony, if you cross that line of knowingly harboring, concealing illegal alien from ICE, that's a felony. Mm-hmm. We're going to ask the DOJ to prosecute. I'm not a prosecutor, but we're certainly going to ask for those prosecutions. The Democrats said forever, no one's above the law. No one's above the law, but they want a different set of rules for illegal aliens. You said it in your monologue. The whole zero tolerance thing, right? They didn't want families separated when a parent was prosecuted. Kids can't go to jail with parents. But as a cop, when I started my career, I separated U.S. citizen families all the time when a U.S. citizen parent went to jail. U.S. citizen families are separated 1,000 times across this country every day. But they want a different set of rules for the illegal aliens. And as far as removal of USC children, you're right. We sent 3 children with their mothers who requested their baby children go with them. If we didn't do it, then the story would be ISIS separating families again. You can't win with these people. You can
never
support
will
sanctuary
be able to
cities.
win, man. You never will. No, he's right, man. If first of all, I think if you're gonna get deported, you should do the responsible thing and take your children with you. Just because you're the parents, you don't want to separate them like that. You see what I'm saying? There's that perspective, but he also said something else I wanted to say. Oh yeah, this also proves how the Democrats, they're so fixated and have so much care and concern for these illegal immigrants, but in no way, shape, or form are they directing it towards the American people. They do not maintain the same energy for the American citizens. Like he said, there's American families being separated every single day, but there's no outreach from the Democrats with that. But they want a different set of rules when it comes to illegal immigrants. It doesn't make sense to me. Make Man Great Again posted, Democrats love to shout no one's above the law, but the hypocrisy is glaring. When it's their agenda on the line, they look the other way. It's time to hold these sanctuary cities and officials accountable. Amen to that. We got to keep God first. Stay prayed up out here, man, because, whoo. Now, we got to go back to the Byron Donalds interaction, where he absolutely took down the mainstream narrative that illegal immigrants deserve due process. Shout to Cartier family for posting the clip.
Well, the Constitution, let me just read you. This is the Fifth Amendment. No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces. And then it goes on to say, nor shall any person be subjected for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life, limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So the Constitution says any person, not citizen, and therein lies the debate and the root of my question. Does any person just apply to citizens in your mind, or does it apply to citizens and non-citizens? The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, says it applies to citizens and non-citizens.
Well, let's be very clear. First and foremost, when the framers wrote our Constitution, they never envisioned that there would be an executive that would allow millions of people to come into the country illegally. Mm-hmm. They never fathomed that. Number two, more importantly, you have a situation right now. Is it okay for any administration to not follow the law, abuse border security laws, let millions of people in, and then hide behind the court system to say, well, now they're here, so now we have to go through a lengthy process? Let's examine this right now. Right now, what we know is that when people came into the country illegally, almost 90% of them would not even go to the hearings. So if you're supposed to show up for a hearing and you do not go, what are we supposed to do as a country?
Very quickly.
Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, imagine trying to get through millions of them. That would be insane, yo. But the idea that they deserve the same amount of treatment as your average American citizen is just insulting, to say the least. The moment he starts destroying her, she cuts him off, of course. Byron for president. I'm seeing a lot of that.
Well, the Constitution,
Nature, first black president to be who was actually born here. Shots fired at Obama right there. Now, what do we have here, man? This is some breaking news. A licensed home daycare on Cape Cod has closed its doors following the ICE arrest of a convicted Brazilian child, R-word, who had been staying at the residence. He apparently is an illegal immigrant, fled to Massachusetts to evade a 9-year prison sentence in Brazil.
Arrested Andre Tiago Lucas in October. According to ICE, he came to Massachusetts to escape a prison sentence in his home country. Lucas had been staying at a home in Hyannis with the mother of his 2 kids. 25 Investigates got a tip that home was a state-licensed daycare.
Man, we just wanted to ask you about your daycare.
Since our visit in March, the family daycare at this Hyannis home has closed, and the owner, Franciel Nunez, has allowed her daycare license to expire. This is a screenshot from before Nunez's name was removed from a database of state-approved child care providers. The Department of Early Education and Care, or EEC, gave Nunez a daycare license in March 2022, but that never should have happened. She was hiding a secret.
13 anos em Minas Gerais. Tiago Lucas, de 30.
Andre Tiago Lucas is the reported father of Nunez's children. ICE says he was sentenced to 9 years of prison for the rape of a 13-year-old girl in his home country of Brazil.
Nothing surprises me anymore. Do I find it wrong? 100% wrong.
We shared our findings with Worcester County Sheriff Lou Evangelitis, an outspoken supporter of immigration reform in Massachusetts.
But the idea that someone has been documented that a Brazilian national fled the country because they were convicted for rape of a 13-year-old and could come to Massachusetts and not only disappear into the fabric of Massachusetts, but actually be living in a home that was a daycare center for young people. That's terrifying.
Records show EEC inspected the home daycare 5 times, but according to the agency, they saw no evidence of Lucas living there.
But does that raise questions about their oversight and their inspections?
Stephen Exaros is the state rep for the 5th Barnstable District on the Cape. He spent 40 years in law enforcement before coming to the State House.
So you've really got to, I think, go out of your way to make sure each place is as safe as it should be. And that's with proper background checks, looking around when you visit to see if there's any signs of anything wrong.
How we doing, guys? Good, how you doing? Not too bad.
Nunez called Barnstable police on us when we tried to speak with her.
Can I leave you my card in case you have a lawyer or someone else who'd like to speak with me?
EEC confirms it did not learn of Lucas's connection to the daycare until 4 months after his highly publicized arrest.
Our children are innocent, and when they go to a daycare, it's almost like we're putting their lives in the hands of others.
EEC requires background checks on all people who live or regularly visit home daycares. But even if Nunez had disclosed Lucas, his child rape conviction in Brazil would not have been found. That's because EEC does not check for criminal history outside of the U.S. The agency also doesn't check immigration status.
The Democrats, how y'all gonna defend this? Y'all, please be safe. Go check on somebody today. Stay prayed up. You could be saving somebody's life.